lot of fun on the farm. My sister Eleanor was actually Ellie was the matriarch of our family. She was the mother while my mother was busy doing all of the things from canning to cleaning the house to repairing things that had to be repaired. My dad was always busy, not only in the factory. What?
Darning your mother darning your socks.
Yeah. Yeah, she did that too. Yeah.
How old were you when you moved to the farm? You must have been pretty young, right?
I was young. I was about 3 years old, 4 years old, something like that. I was born in New Britain, Connecticut, and then moved to Plainville. And I believe it was somewhere around 1926 or 27. So therefore, I must have been somewhere between 3 years old and 5 years old.
Yeah, and you lived there through the time you went into the service, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then, so all your siblings, so you were hanging, that was your
Yes.
big thing. That was your childhood right there.
Very, very big thing. Yes, it was my childhood.
So other
Marvelous.
than the gas station, did you have any jobs on the farm?
Yes. We were. When we graduated from high school, my father would take his clippers that he gave us a haircut with and make us look like you, Jerry. He would actually take every hair off our head. Every hair off our head. And we did not have to have a haircut until we went back to school.
But you were sunburned there.
We also had a little pond called Twins Pond that was about, maybe 1,000 yards from where we were. That was spring fed, and we used that for a swimming pond. That was our swimming pool. And the neighbor kids would all come down. There was probably the Osmonds were there, the Morgans were there, the Slaters were there. It was a fun thing. We had a wonderful, wonderful childhood.
Well, you mentioned everybody had a job. Do you remember the respective jobs that the kids had? Like, what was your responsibility other than working at the gas station? You remember?
My responsibility were in the summertime. My father would milk the cows when he was working and we were going to school, but in the summertime I had to milk the cows, and then we had tobacco growing and vegetables growing. We worked all morning long before the sun got too hot in hoeing and cultivating in between the tobacco plants and the vegetables that we were growing.
All five of you?
Oh, no, Ellie was inside. She was helping Mother. Gladys was too young at that particular time. But as she got older, yes, she got a job too. It was, washing dishes or cleaning the bathrooms. We finally got indoor plumbing. We had an outhouse for a while that we had to move every 2 or 3 years. Every 2 or 3 months, and cover up whatever dropped into that hole.
You never could say Frank was full of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a two-seater?
It was a 2-seater. Yes,
So
sirree.
you sit next to each other?
Occasionally, brothers would do that, sisters would do that, but it was never.
Wasn't co-ed?
No, it wasn't co-ed.
So there was no partition between the seats?
No partition.
We had it in our house too. We had a two-seater.
Pretty
Just a nice big hole
Pretty neat.
on either side.
So what? Anything else about the farm that you remember?
Well, the farm was starting off with, it was clearing out the land to make it a farm, and we finally got approximately 10 acres that was cleared off for tobacco and farm, for vegetables and whatnot.
What prompted your father to plant tobacco?
He enjoyed farming. He really enjoyed farming.
The product itself, because
And
30
yes,
miles over,
And-
Connecticut was famous for the Connecticut River tobacco.
that was correct. And we found out that was interesting, planting tobacco. My father and I would sit on the back of a buggy with 2 wheels on it and a barrel in front of us, and it would make a path where you could plant it. And just before we put the plant in, we'd have the plants in front of us, and we'd have to pick up the plant and put it into the ground, and a squirt of water would come out of the barrel, and Howie was walking behind. If we missed any or didn't do it fast enough, my brother Howard would put it in, and my brother George was driving the tractor. So that was quite interesting.
Oh, pretty cool. And what, next year you said you want to talk about your grandchildren. What kind of, what's their age range right now?
Well, the age runs from 20 years old until, from 20 to 30. My oldest daughter, Susan, had a son and a daughter. And my middle daughter had 3 daughters. Rebecca, well, Barbara and John are the children of Susan and John, my oldest daughter. My second daughter is Nancy, and she has 3 daughters, and that is Rebecca, who is the oldest, Kristen, and Megan. And my youngest daughter, Carol, has 3 sons, Andrew, William, and Michael.
You got a mix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said at one point, you said that I quote, they keep you alive.
Yeah, oh yes, this is what I live for. I want so desperately, it's important to me to see my first great-grandchild. I would like very much to see who each of them marry and whether or not they have children, and I would like to see my very first great-grandchild.
Do you have any big reward on the table for the first one that does that?
A big hug, but I'm sure Barbara will come up with a few dollars. We might offer anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for the first great-grandchild.
Have you?
Sold.
I might even offer an old pair of my pajamas to stimulate them.
But you really don't see them that often, do you? Because they're pretty far spread, aren't they?
They're spread from sea to shining sea.
Yeah.
I have one living in San Diego in California, or Rancho Santa Fe, and another one living in Maryland, Easton, Maryland. And one right in the middle of the country, Chicago.
Do you, and one of your family reunions? You said you get together once a year at least?
My oldest daughter and her husband, the Majors, have a wonderful Frank Lloyd Wright house with about 5 bedrooms with the capacity of at least 4 more in the tower. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright house, and it's in the town of Delavan on Delavan Lake. And we go up there for the summer. We try to get all of them there on 4th of July, which usually does happen. And we stay up there from late June until right after Labor Day. And then we're back in Dunwoody, Georgia.
Which is why you weren't able to attend a lot of the reunions from your division.
That is absolutely correct. I would have loved to have gone to the every one of the Army reunions that the 8th Armored Division had, but it was, my family was so important to us that I missed many of the Army reunions.
So the distribution of some of the philosophies that we have in the tape, that's really your way of communicating with them, being that they're so widespread around the country.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Yes, we email. I get emails from just about every one of the grandchildren, and from my son-in-law John Major, probably daily, or at least once a week, and certainly once a month. Certainly once a month.
Good. Very
Yeah.
good. All right.
And you taped all that.
I did.